Hello, welcome back to Atlas Within. I'm Andres. Today we have another episode of Atlas Allies. So we're going to be showcasing someone else's journey, in this case Lawrence Solon, who has submitted his next check-in video. So without further ado, let's see how he's been getting on.
Hi guys, my name is Lawrence and this is my 3-week fitness update. So just to recap, my friend Andres, who is Atlas Within on YouTube, he started this 90-day challenge, and when he was about halfway through it, I got like kind of inspired, and I thought I should I should join in. I'd been gaining weight over the last months and stuff. So yeah, 3 weeks ago, I'd kind of already been thinking about my health and fitness. So I'd already been doing like a little bit I was becoming more conscious of my eating, and I was doing like, I joined a run club. So I was running at least once a week, which is not like a huge amount, but it was getting me back into moving. And yeah, so that was 3 weeks ago. And in the last 3 weeks, I've taken it like a lot more seriously. It's kind of it's not just a sorry, literally my arm is so tired from exercising that I'm actually struggling to hold up my phone. So yeah, obviously I'm super strong at this point. So yeah, in the last 3 weeks, I've cut out sugar a lot. And the funny thing is, it actually hasn't been like the monumental effort I kind of imagined it would. It does take some consciousness and thought, but to be honest, I think I'd reached a point where eating badly was having such a negative effect on me physically and more significantly mentally, because I would kind of binge. I'd get really sad because I had like been through some stuff lately, and I'd get really sad, and then I'd binge eat sugar, and then it'd be kind of entertaining while I was eating it, but then I'd get like super low afterwards. So I kind of just got really sick of how it was making me feel, and that was hugely motivating in helping me to eat less. I am absolutely addicted to sugar. So despite this, it does take some effort to stay off it. But another thing, so yeah, I started going to the gym quite regularly. Unlike Atlas or Andres, as I know him, he's very, very good at like keeping track of things. And I've basically been keeping track of nothing. I've been kind of like weighing myself at random times, and I haven't been taking notes of stuff. I can tell you that in 3 weeks, it looks like I've probably lost a kilo, but the amount of exercise I've been doing, I've been doing at least 3 gym sessions a week, and possibly a bit more. And I also do this run club, but there was something else. I went on a 4-day cycling holiday with my mum, and my mum is like really fit and healthy, and we did a cross country through York, the North York moors, and for anyone that knows those moors, it's just constantly up and down. So even though we were going at a fairly slow pace, I mean, just cycling even slowly, just up hills over and over and over again, is actually really exhausting. And I also was like a little bit ill on that holiday, so I mean, this isn't like healthy, but I was eating far too little, because whenever I ate, I just felt kind of queasy. So I was having this huge energy output. I was burning a huge number of calories every day. And I think by the end of the holiday, I must have had like a 24,000 calorie deficit or something, because I was doing all this exercise and really just not eating very much. So, that's not a healthy way to lose weight, but it was kind of like a little shortcut, because I feel like I visibly lost weight over that holiday. And then I came back, and luckily I didn't start binging. I was just, it actually motivated me into good habits. So yeah, I'm standing here like for the purposes of showing my progress. So 3 weeks of progress. Full disclaimer, it's actually been 3 weeks and 2 days. Just in case the extra 2 days count so much. It's if I tense my tummy, my tummy looks pretty flat. If I relax, still, like, it's still pretty good, I guess. Like, I'm not entirely sure what my ultimate like goal is here, um, but it feels really good to be losing some weight. And I mean, I haven't compared how I look now to. I haven't actually looked at the photos and last video I did. Um, I'm imagining there's not a spectacular difference because 3 weeks is not like a huge amount of time. But I am aware that I'm starting to see like some definition here and stuff. I still got like some podginess around the middle, which by the way really doesn't matter. I don't think I'm unhealthy at all. My scale says I'm 27% body fat, but I don't think I am. I mean, maybe I'm just being like, maybe I'm just in denial. Maybe I am 27% body fat. According to my scale, that's like reaching the sort of danger zone. Like I should be lower than that. But if this is like danger zone for like a healthy body, I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised about that. I don't feel like unfit or unhealthy. So yeah, I'm kind of ignoring this. I think I've come across things saying that these BMI, especially like the cheap BMI scales, are pretty inaccurate. I think mine was only like 20 or 30 pounds. So anyway, there we go. I think I've lost about 1 kilo. I'm almost certain that I have gained muscle. I mean, I look like I've gained muscle, like to myself. The funny thing is, I don't even do that much for my arms. I think maybe I underestimate. Like literally in a workout, I'll do sit-ups and stuff, and then for my arms, I do 3 sets of press-ups, and I do 3 sets of bicep curls, and then I do these ones where I just lift a weight like that, and I only use 10 kg, which like feels fairly light to me, and I only do 10 reps. And I do 3 sets of that. It's not a huge amount, but I think where I have a feeling that where my muscles are coming from in my arms, I think it might be the cycling. I do a lot of cycling. I cycle to and from work, and obviously, I just went on a cycling holiday. Oh my god, seriously, I cannot hold up the phone. What are these muscles for? Like, what are they doing? Like, how much does my phone weigh? But yeah, so I noticed, especially when you're cycling uphill, like you're kind of like constantly pulling, like your feet are pushing down and your arms are kind of pulling to compensate. And I have a feeling that actually, does do quite a lot for your muscles. I want to see if I can see my back. Yeah, I mean, I'm I would like a more defined back. I don't even know how to tense my back muscles. Just looks kind of podgy to me, but that's okay. Progress will be made. I feel like I had 1 or 2 more things to say. I bought myself a rice cooker. I thought, I know rice is really easy to cook, but I just kind of thought anything that makes eating healthy, like even a tiny bit easier for me, is beneficial, because I'm not into cooking. I sort of understand how to eat healthily, but I struggle to put in the effort. The effort being, planning the meals, then going to the shop and getting all the ingredients, and then following a recipe and cooking. I'm just so unmotivated to do that. So I thought I'll get this rice cooker, and it'll be like even easier for me to have rice. So I did that, and that's been kind of helpful. It's inspired me to start eating brown rice at least. I find that very filling, and it doesn't cause me any like indigestion problems, because it's like I can eat gluten, but if I eat too much, which is not a huge amount, like I had a quarter of a pizza and I felt fine, but I'm pretty sure if I had a half a pizza, I'd probably feel like the bad effects from it. So yeah, I got a rice cooker. That's been helping my diet. And there was one more thing I wanted to add, and that is that Atlas Within released a video, I think it was like yesterday or the day before, and he was just talking about his running, and he managed to run 5k in 23 minutes 21 seconds. And I know that's like, I think that's really, really good. If I use myself as like a, basically fit person, and I go to this running club and everything, I'm not like one of the fast people at the running club, but I'm competent. And I think that's sub 24 minutes for a guy my age and Andre's age is really good. I think it might be better than average. I googled it at some point, can't quite remember, but it's good. And I'm not sure I've ever run sub 24. So today I went to the gym and I did all my standard like superset stuff. And then I decided to try and beat Andre's running stats. And I know this sounds really, really competitive, but I don't think of it as being competitive because actually, I'm really invested in, Andres has been like one of, my closest friend for a very, very long time. And I'm very invested in his health and fitness. And I love to see him do really well. And it's really not about like beating his score. I see it more as me and him have for many, many years sort of trained together and shared our goals and stuff. And the truth is I was just really inspired by what he was achieving. And even though I run fairly frequently, I don't think I have been pushing myself as hard as I could be. And so today I decided I'm going to try and beat that I'm going to set that as my goal. And I actually managed to run for the first time ever. I did a sub 24 minutes and I managed to do 5K in 23 minutes and 16 seconds. And I was really, really trying. And for the first half, I was making a real point of pacing myself. And for the first half, I was like, oh my gosh, I've started too slow. I'm not going to be able to run fast enough in the second half to catch up. And then I got like gradually faster and faster and faster. And I was trying to like do the maths in my head as I was going. So, and I managed to, I actually thought there was a little bit where I was getting faster and faster, and I actually thought I was going to do like a sub 23 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. But that's just my math being bad. So I came incredibly close to, matching or going past Andre's current personal best. But yeah, that was really fun to do, and I pushed myself harder than usual. So I want to thank him for that motivation. And I know this seems like really competitive, but he speeds up on like a weekly basis. So I've only beaten him by 5 seconds, and I don't really have much doubt that he'll be overtaking that, next week or something. So, but yeah, thank you for the motivation, because Andres, when you beat my score, I'll think of it as a score, I will try and beat you again. So we can just keep that going. Anyway, I'm rambling a lot. So anyway, long story short, fitness progress is being made, I think, and I'm really enjoying sort of improving my lifestyle and stuff. So I'm just gonna keep going, and yeah, I'll check in another 3 weeks ish. Peace.
All right, so that was the video. Very good stuff. A lot said in that check-in. So thank you very much for all the detail that you've provided, Lawrence, in terms of where you are, the things you are overcoming, you're working on. I did want to mention a few things that you've pointed out in the video. So first of all was that you mentioned you are taking your exercises more seriously. That's fantastic news. And by exercise, I mean your health in general. So obviously you've put the example of sugar being one of your biggest challenges from that perspective, just because it's something you like and something you, I imagine, would consume ongoing. But as you've said, it's not ideal. It doesn't make you feel good in the long run. So kudos to you for obviously fighting that fight, because when you have these types of, let's say, addictions to an extent, it is hard. It does make these things much more challenging to overcome to achieve your goals, because you know you've got this one element that could derail and make things just so much more harder. So keep at it. I think I mentioned before, and you've mentioned before, about taking fruit as a substitute to refined sugars, so essentially not having sweets but having fruit instead. Stick with that, and hopefully you'll be able to just wean it out. It sounds like you're in a good place right now and on track to essentially minimize sugar intake to none. Obviously do indulge when you have a moment. It shouldn't be something forbidden, but for the time being, obviously I appreciate that you want to keep it to essentially minimal or none, just so you can get into your routine and not crave it as much. So good to know about that. You've mentioned obviously you're going to the gym 3 times as well as running. I believe that's on top of that. So 4 sessions of exercise per week. That's really good. That's actually very good, because what I would say is anyone starting or beginning, 1 to 2 sessions is fine. Honestly, if you're new to exercises and you haven't done them before, you've not done them in a long time, then 1 to 2 sessions is great to start with. But obviously, it's only been 3 weeks, but you're going to gym quite regularly, having the running session as well. That's fantastic. Obviously, keep at it. I think that should see you for the foreseeable future. If you can incorporate more sessions, maybe 1 or 2 at most, I would say, then by all means do so. If you're feeling particularly energetic that week or for a time period, nothing wrong with it. But I think 4 is quite a nice sweet spot to have. So if that's all you do, fantastic. The other thing I was going to mention, obviously you seem to have resistance training exercises as well as cardio based exercises. Once again, that's a fantastic mixture. I think it's really good. You have mentioned you don't really want to bulk, so you do things, we do resistance training, weight training to a minimum, but that's still very good because you do want to maintain muscle, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Maintaining muscle really helps tip the scale in the right direction, because you stay toned potentially. You hopefully keep the muscle mass you have, but you trim down, and at the end of the day you start looking a lot better. Whereas if you didn't do resistance training and you just did cardio, there is a danger you will lose muscle, and then yes, you will trim down, you will lose body weight, you will lose body fat, but because you'll also lose muscle, the end result just sometimes isn't as pleasing, or the one that you might be trying to achieve. So fantastic, keep up with that. The fact that you've built some muscle, that is perfectly understandable, especially if you haven't hit it as hard as before. Even though you're doing smaller weights or lower volume, that still can trigger muscle increase, because you are pushing the muscle to another degree that maybe it wasn't used to or wasn't exposed to previously. So that's going to cause it. And eventually, as you do trim down, you will have an image of that. It looks like you've increased the muscle, where in actual fact you've maybe just lost a bit of fat around the muscle, so it's more defined and it looks a bit bigger. So things that happen, obviously all positive, whichever way around it's happening, it's all good news for you. You mentioned you lost 1 kilo in 3 weeks time. That's good. I think that's fine. I think recommended, or what's usually been said, is to lose about 0.5 kilo a week, roughly speaking. That's 3,500 calories, roughly speaking. You may have heard it as 1 pound. Usually it's referred to as 1 pound, but it technically is about 0.5 kilo. So there you go, 0.5 kilo per week. So technically you could have lost 1.5 kilos in a safe way without jeopardizing, for example, muscle, while still losing body fat. That's what that measurement's really about. But losing 1 kilo is still great. And once again, if you are gaining muscle, then there's an offset, because muscle weighs more than fat. So you may have lost more fat and gained a tiny bit of muscle, but it offsets, quite exact to an extent. But obviously muscle is just more dense. The other thing you mentioned was that you did a trip, and during this trip you probably lost quite a bit of weight because you had high intensity exercises for a couple of days and you weren't eating that much, obviously not through choice. wasn't something that you really wanted to do. I'm sure you would have liked to have eaten more, but because you didn't, obviously it contributed to the calorie burn or calorie deficit that you would have had during those days. What I wanted to mention about that, obviously that's fine. That's one way to do it and one way to kind of speed things up. Obviously not recommended long term. You do want to eat well as exercise well, because at the end of the day, the more you do it, the more the food becomes fuel to help you exercise and less about essentially increasing in weight, because the body knows or understands that actually you need to eat to be able to do all these exercise routines. So yeah, idea is to balance good intense sessions with good nutrition to back it up so that you don't essentially burn out. So, but yeah, interesting thing to do. And the trip is sometimes or can be viewed as one of those challenges that people undertake, like a 30-day minimal eating or 30-day fasted challenge or whatever it might be. Obviously yours wasn't 30 days, but it's one of those things that you can do as a one-off, and it's good fun sometimes to see what's going to happen from it. But yeah, you don't want to do it long term. Obviously, I'm not saying you are doing it, but yeah, obviously don't get into your head to do these things too often, because like I said, the idea is to find a balance between exercise and eating healthy, which I'm sure you're on the right track for anyway. The other point that I picked up on was the scale, and as you know, as you've seen, I've had similar issues with the scale being, I wouldn't consider accurate exactly from a weight perspective. So obviously from your perspective, your issue is that it's saying that you're at 27% body fat. I think you are correct in that does sound too high for your current level. If you look at images online that other fitness professionals have posted about what body fat percentages look like on average people, average men specifically, in your case, 27% body fat I think is at the higher range, and I wouldn't imagine to see the types of definition we are seeing on you currently. So I think there is something to be said about that number being potentially inaccurate. The only thing I will mention, and this is similar to what I'm doing, is it's a metric. It's saying 27%, but if you do lower 2%, I would like to think that 2% is real. So if you one day go on the body fat scale and it's 25%, even if it's technically not 25% realistically, but if you generally have lost 2%, then I like to think that it's real and that will show in your results. So think of it that way. It's metrics once again. It's just something you can gauge, something you can work towards or work against, shall we say, to lower the number. And that's all it can be for now. Obviously, there are tests you can do, of more professional tests where you get accurate body fat measurements, but if that's not something you really need, then yeah, just stick with the body fat scale, stick with the same one as well, because then you will know that your results or whatever readings you get will be consistent. The other point I wanted to quickly mention was the rice cooker. As an example, you mentioned that you are trying to eat healthier and trying to make things easy for you. That's a fantastic way to do things, fantastic approach. Because that's it. It's all about these little changes that you can do to make your life easier. Some people do meal preps. Obviously, that's not something I think you're doing at the moment or something you're particularly interested in doing. I myself am the same. I don't really meal prep. But if you can do these minor adjustments to how you make food, to how accessible healthier food is, then yeah, I think that's where the sweet spot is. That's where the achievements will come from, because there'll be tiny little changes that once again will mount up to be big changes in the long run, and they'll make all the difference. So nice. Kudos to you for doing that. That's great to hear. The other point is, and this kind of feeds into the sugar addiction, but on the opposite scale, it's the gluten problem you mentioned, which I feel for you. I think I'm slightly lactose intolerant, so that's obviously something I have to watch. But yeah, I do appreciate if you've got gluten issues, then it limits the food you can have. But I'm happy to hear that obviously you're having brown rice and that doesn't seem to have the same problem. Fantastic alternative as well as a healthier option to just white rice. I'm not saying white rice is bad. It has its place. You can have it in moderation. but obviously the brown rice is much better. It's just got more nutrients, and in the long run it'll make you feel fuller, and you'll just get more benefits from it. So yeah, kudos to you. Obviously you're having to adjust your diet and see what works for you, but once again, these are things that I think everyone has to deal with. We've all got our issues with food, dietary needs these days. I don't think anyone's completely able to eat any food without having unfortunate side effects or consequences to deal with. So yeah, it's just one of those things you'll have to juggle, but you know, all the encouragement possible for you to just keep at it, make the adjustments needed, and you'll get there. The last point I'd like to mention is the fact that you've now joined the 5K club in terms of trying to just do good and better times. Of course, your 5K time, or your 5K run, you were matching it against my time. So, I think we may have entered a bit of a competition here. Friendly competition, of course. So massive kudos to you for getting the 23 minutes and 16 seconds. Just for clarity, I did actually have 23 minutes 31 seconds. So you actually beat me by 15 seconds. Yeah, so yeah, very good stuff. I will unfortunately have to now try and beat you. I say unfortunately because it means I have to put more effort in. But honestly speaking, I'm here for that. That's great. That's actually given me an incentive, motivation as well. Obviously, you've been motivated by my time. I'm now motivated by your time. So let's watch this space and see how I do. So welcome to the club, and let's see how fast both of us can get in the 5K run. But those were just very quick points I wanted to mention, specifically you, for anyone else watching, in general, about food, minor adjustments, the types of routines you can have for exercises, what's potentially I would consider the minimum, maximum requirements to do well. And I think the take home really is all these points, they're just, they're tweaks that you're making. And I think that's it. Anyone who's doing any change whatsoever, it's all about the small changes. You can have a goal, but you don't have to drastically change your way of life. You can just tweak things as you go. And I think that's the best way to do it, because by the end of it, like I said, it's about longevity. It's not about, for example, doing a 90-day journey and then at the end of 90 days I just go back to, or anyone goes back to what their life was like. No, this is about, by the end of the 90 days, you are a different person to who you were on day one. And that person that you are at day 90 is the one that will continue. And they'll be different again in the next 90 days, and so on and so forth. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much for submitting your check-in, Lawrence. Appreciate it. It's always nice to have someone else showcasing how they're getting on with life, how they're getting on with the fitness side of things, the health side of things. And it's really inspiring as well, because I think we're all in it together. We're all doing what we can at different times, but it's, at the end of the day, it's all teamwork. So thanks for submitting. Look forward to your next check-in, and for anyone else watching, obviously feel free to share your journey, anything you're working on at the moment, or if you've already passed through a journey and you've got like records of it and you'd like to show it or have it shown on the channel, by all means do reach out to me so we can get it showcased. If you enjoyed watching this video, do like and subscribe, as it helps the channel. And if you're looking to find out a bit more about different types of resistances, their places in your workout routines, click on the video here and I go through each individual types of resistances, such as body weight bands, machines, dumbbells, barbells, pros, cons, all that good stuff, just to give you an insight on whether or not it applies to you, whether or not it will be useful to you in your routine, and obviously getting the best out of your time. So thanks again for watching, have a good one, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye.